Hey guys, TakuyaSugi here with a new hero on Korean Lost Saga. This is hero 152, Red Hood. It is a regular hero. It's based off Little Red Riding Hood, or it's actually pretty much based off BB Hood from Darkstalkers, who's also based off Little Red Riding Hood in her own right. So let's check it out here. So 4-hit basics, 1, 2, 3, 4. Third hit will slide back slightly your opponent, and the fourth hit will propel yourself into the air, and also bounce down your opponent and propel them into the air, which will set up some air juggles. So you can do some air juggles off that and get a bounce down and continue your basics. It's a little bit easier to do the air hold D and then do some juggles off of that instead of your 4-hit basics in the air, but you might get more damage in the long run out of the 4-hit basics. But either way, you're getting a lot of these juggles here going. Let's go ahead and try to cap out the juggles here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold D. Landed a little bit too late there. Try again. Try to do it at the last possible moment to get yourself closer to the ground. So you can see the air decay got me there. So good stuff there, good stuff. Your hold D is a simple launcher, like so. But you can actually use your hold D in between your basic attacks. The hold D launcher by itself seems to be a guard breaker as it breaks ice. You know, don't quote me on that because I can't check it on an actual person, but you can see here they are frozen, but the hold D does launch, so that usually means it's a guard breaker. But you can also use your hold D in between your basics, like I was saying. So if you press one hit of your basic, you will warp behind someone. Press your hold D after one hit of your light basic, you will warp behind someone and stun feint them. Pretty nice there, pretty nice. If you press your hold D after 2 basics, you'll throw out a little cherry bomb, and this will flinch someone upon coming out, and then it will explode after a temporary fuse. So this is pretty nice here. You can actually juggle off this. It does put some good pressure on someone. You can see it does have kind of a infinite delay where it gets like a very mini bounce down, infinite prevention measure. So you can't do them back to back to back to back because you can actually hit grounded with this bomb. So you can see it does launch off grounded. Even the initial hit actually flinches, so it'll keep them down for a very temporary extra duration with that initial flinch, but sometimes they can get up out of it anyway. After 3 hits of your light basics, 1, 2, 3, hold D, you'll do 3 gunshots and it will fire someone into the air. And normally you can't juggle too well off of this with just, basics or dash attacks. But what you do use off of this is your passive. So let's talk a little bit about the passive now. So the passive, you actually have to press your block button between your attacks. You can actually warp in a general direction, kind of do like a mini skip, jump, teleport kind of thing. This does recharge very, very quickly. You can use it back to back very quickly as well, in between attacks, however, so keep that in mind. So you can warp very, very fast around. Primarily you'll use that passive off your gun hit. So 1, 2, 3, hold D, use your passive, get in there and do your air attack juggles and all that goodness. So you got to keep in mind, however, the gun presses will actually give them a quick get up status, so you can't do a lot of good follow-ups like normal. But the gun does hit grounded as well, so if you don't like the cherry bomb, you can use the gun for a grounded lifter. So let's try it here. 2, 3, there you go. You can still get some air attacks off that, so pretty nice stuff there, pretty nice stuff. So you can also use your passive in the air, by the way. It's off your air dashers even, so if you want to travel very quickly, air dash and block a lot. Just be careful you don't give yourself drop damage there. So moving on to the dash attacks. So you got a 4-hit dasher. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unlike the basics, this doesn't bounce down at the end of the launcher portion. So you'll get a nice pure launcher out of that instead of a bounce down. You can actually loop your hold D in between this as well. Very similar to the standing version. So you'll still get the cherry bomb. You'll still get the gun presses. So it works out very nicely, very nicely. So moving on to the air attacks, you have a 4-hit air attack. We'll do this off the basics. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th hit will slam down. So very nice to extend your standing basics pretty much. You also have your air dasher. They're like so. This air dasher works kind of like Alice's, where you'll lift someone off of it. You can also use your hold D in the air And surprisingly, this seems to guard break as well. I don't recall many air guard breakers, so it does look like an air guard breaker, but it may just break ice. I'm not sure why it breaks ice, and it wouldn't be a guard breaker, but it does break ice, so that's interesting. And you can also, once again, in the air, in between your basics, use your hold D in between those things. So this will still give you that nice feint. So if you want to do something like air dash, light D dash, you know, you can actually double jump on Red Hood to give yourself a little bit more time to do this kind of stuff. So if you want to do some nice mix-ups on her, you can very well do this air stab here and confuse people. It's very cool, very cool. So 1, 2, the cherry bomb still comes out. This is pretty helpful in continuing your juggles, because the fuse actually blows up a little quicker off that, because it's got a little bit more travel time in the air, so it's a lot easier using your bomb in the air compared to the ground. And your air guns, a little bit trickier to use your air guns compared to the cherry bomb in the air, and compared to the ground version especially. So but you can still, you know, do your usual stuff off this. You can still, you know, do some neat things with the passive and everything in the air. So it's a very good, very, very good character so far, with all these crazy hold D combinations you got going on. So let's check out the defensive properties. You have a counterattack on Red Hood. So the initial stun is actually very interesting. It's kind of like a new kind of counterattack stun. So you can see he's kind of, you know, recoiling in pain from the basket hit. It's probably easier to show it on a human version, actually. Let's try it on the human version. So we'll do it on the human. So you can see he's kind of mini stunned there. He can't attack. And if I keep pressing the button, I'll do a 5-hit combo. Let's keep pressing it fast this time. 3, 4, 5. You can actually hold D in between this as well if you choose to. So if you want to, you know, do your counterattack and someone blocks it or something, do your hold Ds off that. It's a very interesting setup. Otherwise, you can just go into the counterattack combo. It's a very slow windup, by the way. Then you'll do a kick at the end of it, and it will stun feint someone. So very cool, very cool. To my knowledge, the skills don't have any defensive properties. So moving on to the weapon skill here. Weapon skill, you'll throw down your basket, and you'll start shooting someone gradually, and does pretty good damage. Not too bad there. You can actually use this on a grounded opponent as well. You can kind of slow it down as well. You can actually juggle off of it as well if you choose. And it will hit multiple people and suspend them in the air, but I do believe this distributes the damage a little bit differently. So you'll be shooting different targets rather than just one single target, which will kind of lighten the damage a little, quite a bit, depending on how many people you grab up in it. So moving on to the armor skill. Armor skill, very reminiscent of Alice's weapon skill, only with a ton of cherry bombs raining down chaos. And you know, like a little kind of basket gun thing, and you can juggle off the hits depending on if it actually kind of bounces someone around, luckily or not. So you can juggle off that potentially and do some good crowd control. Helmet skill, warp behind someone and then straight up shank them. It's very reminiscent of Yumira's skill with her neck stab, only with, like, you know, an actual knife and a stab in the back and a stun status. So you know, that's probably lag sensitive. NA players, you might want to stay away from the hood. The trinket skill, this one's a pretty funny one. You summon out a bunch of little grandma wolves. If you don't press anything after it, it will just suspend someone in the air temporarily, but if you press the button, your D key after this, you'll actually shoot them and cause a feint status. So this will hit multiple people. Let's go ahead and show how this works here. There you go. And it will hit people even if it didn't mark them. It will feint them as long as they're in the general vicinity of your bullets. So very cool, very cool skill. And it does lift off grounded as well, so it's a nice little reset kind of skill. So yeah, guys, Red Hood, it's going to be a good character, especially, you know, if it's got like guard breaker potential with this whole D. You know, I'm not guaranteeing that's a guard breaker or anything, but it does come off as one. Otherwise, you've got great mix-ups like with the whole D off the initial basic. You've got, you know, great pressure with the bomb. You can basic in between it, set up like a front and back block kind of scenario with that. You know, the guns, great range on them. You know, you have a lot of great mobility with her block passive, which recharges extremely quickly, so you're not really wasting it when you're using it. You have a lot of mobility with the air dasher in this setup here as well. So yeah, overall, she's just something special. She has a lot of ground lifters to help her extend her combos. You know, a lot of great combo setups in general. So there you go. You know, you can do this bomb in the air, set up another juggle opportunity and everything. So yeah, using that bomb in the air is going to be pretty important for continuing late juggles, because, you know, you can try it on the ground, but typically you're going to need to catch that very early on the ground with the bomb. So if you're trying to catch someone on the ground with the basics, the guns are pretty much the way to go for the ground. And the air version, you know, you're probably going to want to use the cherry bomb in the air instead of the guns most of the time. You know, a lot of great stuff about Red Hood here. Good skills, good basic attacks, great mobility, once again, good dash attack. You know, very stressful character to play against, I would say. You know, not quite as annoying as something like Alice, I wouldn't say, but it's going to be very hard to fight initially until you figure out like what your opponent's trying to do. But, you know, even if you do that, if this is a guard breaker, if this air attack here is a guard breaker actually, the air hold D, you know, considering you can aim this in the air, that's going to be insane. If that's a guard breaker, that's going to be really insane. But yeah, overall, it's going to be a very solid character, very powerful character, guys. And hopefully if you get the chance to play it, you enjoy it, enjoy the OP-ness. And hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you learn something about Red Hood. Otherwise, you know, there's always briefer Korean Lost Flag videos. So thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you next video, and have a nice night. Watch out for the big bad wolves.